Hello guys, it's Igor here, and in this video I'm going to help you choose between living on campus or off campus for international students in Canada. Now, there are three options for staying for international students in Canada. Well, first of all, it's staying on campus. Secondly, staying in a homestay family, and thirdly, renting somewhere else. These are the main three options that most colleges and universities offer to their students. Staying on campus. What are the benefits and what are the negatives part of it? Well, benefits. First benefit. You are staying with your fellow students. You are building new connections, you are building strong bonds between you and those guys and girls who are staying with you. It helps you socialize and build really good friendships. The other good part is usually campuses are just at the college or across the road or in the walking distance, so you don't have to spend money buying for $120 something public transport pass, and you can just walk to college. That's the good thing. Other good thing, it's because it's close to college, it might also have a gym to work out inside the residence, or you might have to go to a college, but usually it has to be free. We had a gym in Centennial College, so people from the residence would just walk there and they would work out. And sometimes, for example, Centennial College at Progress Campus, I think they even had a swimming pool. I'm not sure because I did not stay there, but I heard people saying that there was a swimming pool, but it was a really small one, so that's another benefit. What are the negative part of staying on campus? Well, first of all, price. That's a big minus. They were offering me to stay for $900 for one single room for myself, and it's a tiny room, a small size, not big enough for me, but people stayed in it, $900. And they're offering two people in one room. It's a bigger room. There are two beds. I'm not sure on all the details. I'm sure that you can find out from college. But it was $600 for two people staying in a room. Per person, a month. It's kind of expensive. So that's a negative thing. Another negative thing is shared kitchen. Well, you have to go in there. You have to cook in the kitchen where other people are cooking. So you don't have the benefit of going to your own kitchen and in your room, for example, having a stove, and probably you will have a microwave. But if you want to cook something, you have to go in the kitchen. I know lots of guys were struggling there and they were eating all sorts of fast food, and they were actually spending more money on food while staying on campus because guys get lazy and getting a key to go to a kitchen and cook in there, and you don't know if it's going to be messy, if it's going to be clean. So that's a negative part for me. Another negative part is shared laundry. Well, you have to go somewhere to a laundry room, you have to have a laundry card. I'm not sure if it's free, but I highly doubt that. So you have to go to a shared laundry where everyone else, hundreds of students, do their laundry, and you have to do your laundry there. Shared kitchen, shared laundry, and shared room. Well, it's another minus. You have shared room with your roommate, you bring your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and you don't have freedom. You know what I mean? You don't have freedom. Well, it's a good experience for students, and that's kind of being a part of student life, living in a student's residence, but it's kind of expensive. And those are the negative things. So you decide, spending more time with your friends, kind of living a student's dream in a residence, or enjoying more comfort staying elsewhere. Living in a homestay. I think it was $800 for me. Yes, it was $800 for me to rent one room, and I believe it was about $600 for two people in one room per person, $600. So the good part about it is you stay in a Canadian family. You learn English faster. They tell you all sorts of things that are useful. Those guys who are staying in the residence wouldn't know that, because those guys who are staying in the residence, they are all just like you from another country. When you're staying with someone from Canada, you can ask questions, you can learn things. They are going to help you out with many questions. It will help you adapt, and more importantly, it will help you learn English. I know many people who stayed in the residence, especially from China, because they speak their own native language to each other. Well, when you're in a homestay family, you have no other choice, but you have to speak English. And if it's bad, you're going to improve it. But if you don't speak English and you speak your own language, then it's going to be a challenge to improve it. And that's what I noticed for the difference from those people who stayed in homestay versus those who stayed on a student on campus in a residence. Another good thing is, I think most of the time it includes breakfast, lunch, and you may add some things if you pay more, like dinner. So the family is going to give you something to eat. And I know that lots of families are given good things, and it's a basically you're not going to starve. There is food. Now let's talk about negative things. Slightly expensive. It's more expensive than staying on students' residence. You have you have better laundry because you're only sharing with that family, and you get people who are going to meet you and people who are going to welcome you. That's a good thing. Now the negative thing, rules of that family, because now you're staying in a Canadian family, you have to obey that family's rules. For example, they're going to tell you not to come back too late, or there might be all sorts of stuff. For example, when I came to Canada, I was surprised because on Sunday by 7 a.m. my landlord lady, she was screaming hallelujah. I'm trying to sleep and I'm tired and I'm trying to sleep. She's screaming hallelujah and she's worshiping Christ. I come down, there are candles all over the place, and you know what? It's not bad. There is nothing bad in it. But guys, for me, 7 a.m. a hallelujah is not something that I wanted to see. I was experiencing a cultural shock right there. It's not something I would enjoy. You're sleeping, and then all of a sudden, hallelujah! And you're like, what the hell is happening here? Hallelujah! Where did I come? That was my question. Where am I? What's going on? There you go, hallelujah. That's one thing. And you might get some conflicts. For example, I had not the best experience in a homestay. Although I really respect that lady who I stayed with, and I think that she helped me a lot to adapt, and she was a really nice lady. But I had 2 hot dogs a day and then a dinner. So my breakfast was a hot dog, my lunch was a hot dog, and the dinner was, well, it was a good meal. And although I know that my friend who stayed 2 houses away from me from same college, they had really good breakfast and lunch and dinner. For me, it was just a couple of hot dogs and of a really bad quality bread because she used to freeze bread in a fridge. So for me, it was a negative experience. And I moved out in my first 2 months and we rented a room. Now, third option. Renting out. For me, it was the best option ever. Well, first of all, it's cheaper. Now, renting it can be anywhere from $200 a month to $700 or more. If you want to rent the entire house for yourself and you can afford it, you can go for it. For example, I know people who stayed two persons in one room. Each of them paid $200. It's $400 per room. Similarly, you can find yourself a room somewhere in the basement for $350 a month, and it can go up to $500. And if you're renting your own room, for example, in an apartment or in a house, it can be anywhere from $350 and up to, I don't know, $650, $700 maybe. So it's way cheaper. Only good things about it. Let's start with good things. It's cheaper. You get more freedom. You can bring whoever you want to visit your house whenever you want because you are renting that house. The other good thing, I think mainly freedom. That's the best thing. Now you have your own kitchen. You can cook your own stuff. Most of the time, if it's not a company, you're renting a house, for example, it has most of the time you can have your own laundry. So you have your own laundry and you don't have to share it with hundreds of people. it's cheaper and it's freedom. It's the best thing for me. Negative things are it's not always close to college, like on campus, for example. Homestay is also not close to college. Not always close, but most of the time it's a you have to travel 10-15 minutes. Now renting it can be if you're lucky next to a college, but most of the time you have to travel. Sometimes you have to take a cheaper neighborhood to afford it, and it might be even farther away from your college or university. So you'll have to have a public transport pass, and it's going to be $120 probably. So if you add up renting plus $120, then yes, it might be almost the same price to stay in a student's residence. But if you're staying in a student's residence and you're saving money and you cannot afford anything else, then I think you're screwed. Because you are going to spend more money on fast food and you're going to have to travel somewhere. Your friends are going to go to downtown and you would have to buy a coin at $3 to get to where you want to get to, instead of, one way and then $3 to come back. So you're kind of stuck. And I think it's better to stay farther away from college, have your own freedom, save your money, have your own kitchen, have your own laundry, and have your own public transport pass. So whenever your friends are going to downtown to go to some pub, to hang out somewhere, you have the freedom to do that. That's what I think. Now there are several options how you can rent. You can rent your own room. You can rent the entire apartment. You can rent the entire house. And you can rent a basement. Basement in Canada, it's not like basement is a utilities room, unfinished pipes, rust, dust. And cold. That's what basement is in Ukraine. In Canada, basement is basically an apartment a little bit below the level of the ground. Sometimes your windows are going to be somewhere up closer to a ceiling, and you're going to have to go down a little bit underground. That's a basement, but it's an apartment where people stay. It can be a little bit cold in winter because the heat goes up. So that might be a little bit discomfort. Neighbors are walking upstairs. You can hear them walk. I mean, it can be a landlord. It can be other roommates. There can be a dog barking upstairs. So when you're renting a basement, you have to be very careful when you do that. But basement is a good alternative, and it's really cheap for students. I think that's kind of one of the best options. I stayed in a basement myself later on. We rented an apartment. Now another negative part of renting, collectors. For example, what happened to me, me and two of my friends, one from Ukraine and one from Russia, we rented a three-bedroom apartment. Each of us had one room. I paid $550 per month because I got a giant room with my own shower and toilet. It was master bedroom, and there is a separate washroom for myself. And those two guys got a smaller room. The guy paid $350 for his tiny room, and the other guy got a little bit bigger, average size room, and he paid $450 for it. That's how we agreed. That's basically, you agree among yourselves how much each of you are going to pay, and they were sharing their own bathroom. So that was kind of what I had. But what happened to me after 2 years, there was a court case that landlord, because it was a company, landlord took all the tenants into court, and they said, we want to increase your rent retroactively. I didn't know it's possible before I came to Canada, but there was a court case, and they decided something long after I moved out. So collectors went after me, and they said, you owe us $250. Well, I said there are two more roommates, but they said that landlord put your name in court, and it was only your name, so you owe us. So I had to pay $260 something myself, because guess what? My roommates disappeared. One went to Ukraine. I decided not to bother him because, he couldn't stay in Canada, a misfortune, and, leave him alone. I'm not going to go after him for money. The other one is in Canada, from a rich family, from Russia. And you know what? I told him that collectors went after me, and then he disappeared. And I had to pay on my own because it was on my name. Now there is a small risk. It's probably happening one time out of a million, but there is a risk. Some landlords don't want you to smoke in their house. Some landlords don't want you to damage their house. Well, no one wants you to damage their house unless you put some nails in walls. They don't like it, but I think legally you can still do that, to put picture frames. But if you do damage, they might take you to court and say, well, you broke a wall, you have to fix it now. But that's a minor thing. So month 3, staying in residence or in a homestay or renting, I choose renting. Now, I will provide a link below to Kijiji. Is the website where you can find someone to rent. You can contact that person by email and arrange, if you're coming to Canada, yourself a landlord or a roommate. You can just contact different people, start communicating, and tell them when you're coming to Canada, and they're going to be waiting for you, and you're just going to come and basically move in. So you can do that. Now, I didn't know about that website. I didn't know much about Canada at all when I came here. So I stayed in a homestay. I stayed there for 2 months, and then I found two guys who wanted to rent an apartment, and we rented it together from a company. It was a challenge, and it was kind of expensive because I like comfort. But there are guys who are renting stuff for $200. There are guys who are renting for cheaper. They have 4 people sleeping on the floor in one room. I'm sorry to tell you that, but some people do that. You can get it for really cheap, maybe $100 per person. But I wouldn't do that. For me, it's disgusting. So if money really matters to you and you don't want to spend anything, then go ahead. But if you are like me and you enjoy comfort, then I don't even like one person in my room. That's why I rented my own room. And it can be anywhere from $400 to $600 or $700. You can rent the entire house. What you can do is you can rent the entire house for $2,500, for example. You can rent a basement for $900, and then you can rent those rooms upstairs for $600 each room, for example. And let's see, 900. You're paying how much? 2,500. Well, if you can manage it in such a way that those guys who are renting from you are going to pay your rent as well. So all of that, those people staying with you are going to pay for everything. That might not be exactly ethical, but it is ethical, because one of those people decides to move out without paying you, then you would have to pay from your own pocket. So I choose renting. Best case for me was to stay in a homestay. Once it's done, rent. Lots of people went in the student's residence, then stayed there for 1 semester. Once it's done, they came to know the people, they made friends, and they moved out and they rented. Lots of people are doing that, and there is nothing wrong in it. So you decide where you want to stay. Student's residence, 1 person, $900 in 1 room. 2 people, $600 each. Well, it's $600. Close to college, other facilities, you make friends. Homestay, you get food. Not close to college, you get people who are going to help you out. You improve your English as well. Renting, challenging, because you're on your own. You have to arrange it by yourself, not through an agency or through university. You have to go on this Kijiji website, contact those people, and arrange it for yourself. And there is a slight risk that something might go wrong. You might get wrong roommates you don't like, and you can't really complain to anyone about it. It's on your own. But I know people who came to Canada without finding anything. They stayed in a hostel for 4 days, or even hotels for a couple of days, and then they found place to rent. But if you contact people and arrange, you can find someone from your college, you can find someone from your country, and you can contact those people, and it should work. Call them on Skype, negotiate the price, ask them to show you around on Skype, and don't pay anything before you're here. Pay them cash once you reach Canada. Don't get fooled by those people. There is a lot of scam. Now, these are the main options, and I hope this helps a little bit. Thank you, Mohit, for your questions. I'm going to make more videos based on those questions. And guys, ask me more questions and I'm going to make more videos. Thank you. Have a great day.